It's 5:30. We're going to start the first meeting of 2020 to order. We're going to start off with the prayer with Tarika Walker and the pledge with Keith Beard.
Please bow your head. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, as we forgive those who trespass. It's not a temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on our agenda tonight, and we're going to do them in order, is to adopt the minutes from our regular city council meeting on October the 7th, 2019. Do I have a motion?
I move to adopt the minutes of council regular session held on October 7th, 2019 as presented.
Motion made by Mr. Bradford,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Beard. Are there any discussion? No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I didn't hear everybody's vote. Mr. Taylor, would you show by your hand whether you voted for? Ms. Walker?
Four.
For?
Well,
For, okay. It passes unanimously. The next on the agenda is for the November 4th minutes. Do I have a motion?
I move to adopt the minutes of council regular session held on November the 4th, 2019 as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Bloxham, seconded by Mr. Beard. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
Can't-
Why are you abstaining?
Well, nay.
Pardon me now?
Nay then.
Okay, nay. Okay, all passed except for Mr. Taylor, and he opposed. The next one is December the 2nd.
I move to adopt the minutes from city council special session held on, city council session held on December the 2nd, 2019 as presented.
Motion made by Mr. Taylor,
second.
seconded by Mr. Bradford. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. The last set of minutes is on December the 16th. Do I have a motion?
I move to adopt the minutes of council special session held on December 16, 2019 as presented.
Motion made by Mr. Beard,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Bradford. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is B, elect a mayor pro tem for 2020. In 2019, the mayor pro tem was Mr. Bradford from District C. Do I have a motion?
I move to elect Herbert Taylor as mayor pro tem for the year 2020.
Motion made by Ms. Walker,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Bradford.
Mayor, I'd like to make a substitute motion if I could, please. I'd like to make a motion that Mr. Bradford remain the mayor pro tem for the year 2020.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Beard,
Seconded.
seconded by Ms. Bloxham. Are there any discussions on the second motion?
I have a comment or two.
Okay.
Mr. Bradford has, during last year, has retired from his work and is therefore much more available to taking over as, in the mayor's position if in fact something would happen to Mayor Gardner. And I believe that with the experience that Mr. Bradford has, that the city would be better served. Mr. Taylor, Ms. Walker, and myself have not served except this 1 year in this capacity. Mr. Beard has served in Claiborne Parish and has also had council experience. So with that being said, I firmly believe that Mr. Bradford would be the best candidate for our next Mayor Pro Tem.
Do we have any more discussions or comments on that? We will take a vote on that. All in favor of Mr. Bradford as Mayor Pro Tem?
Aye.
We have 2 ayes. Opposed?
Nay.
Nay? No, you have to vote one way or the other.
Nay.
Okay. Motion fails. We go back to the original motion, and there was a motion made by Ms. Walker to elect Mr. Taylor as Mayor Pro Tem, and it was seconded by Mr. Bradford. Do we have any discussion on that? Yes, ma'am. Will you come up to the microphone and state your name and address, please?
Just as a citizen, I just think with all the turmoil around Mr. Herbert Taylor that I don't think that would be a good idea for the citizens of Minden for him to be Mayor Pro Tem.
All right, thank you for your comment. If you'd come up and state your name, please.
District A, the same district that Mr. Taylor is representing now. My concern is that I go along with Ms. Blackstone and the rest of the citizens that Mr. Herbert Taylor is not fit to serve as pro tem at this particular time.
Thank you, Mr. Woodford. Do we have any more comments from the audience? Okay, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay. 2 against, 3 for. Did you get that, Ms. Pittman? Wait. We'll suspend the meeting just for a second.
Mayor, 3 A's for ABC. It's a little warm in here, probably. Yeah.
Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. Motion passes. Mr. Taylor, Mayor Pro Tem. Okay, C, appointment of Main Street Downtown Commission. Mr. Swafford, are you in the audience, please, sir? Yes, sir. There's an opening on Main Street. Mr. Thomas, his term was expired, so Main Street has wants to appoint Mr. Swafford as Mr. Adams' replacement on the Main Street Board. Do I have a motion on that?
Based upon the recommendation of our Downtown Development Director, Ms. Hutto, I move to appoint Mr. Ronald Swafford to the Minden Main Street Downtown Development Commission to replace Thomas Adams, whose term will expire September 8, 2022.
Motion made by Mr. Beard. Seconded by,
I'll second that.
seconded by Ms. Bloxham. Do we have any discussion?
I would like to make a substitute motion, I would like to make a substitute motion to table this for a later date.
Okay, do we have a second on that?
Second.
Seconded. Do we have a discussion as to why we want to table this?
Mr. Gibson is in District A, and he's a part of that committee. So Mr. Swafford also resides in District A.
And we also said that we would make sure each district was represented on the committees. And there is no one from District B on that committee.
Okay, I just wish you would have brought that up in the workshop
I
last
did.
week. Okay, you did.
May I say? What we talked about earlier was that we were going to make a concentrated effort to get someone from each district on these commissions. Now, the fact that you can get a name to put up there doesn't mean they're going to show up for the meetings. So you have to make sure you've got that commitment from someone besides just putting their name out there for consideration.
I understand the requirements, but like I said in the workshop, we said before that we would have a representative from each district. Now, I understand the criteria, I understand the requirements, so that's why it needs to be tabled, because my district is not represented on that committee.
And you have someone in mind?
I do.
Okay, great.
Would you share that with us?
No,
You won't share it with us?
not right now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have a alternative motion on the table, and it was, had a first and a second. All in favor to table this?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Nay.
Okay, so we will move on to D.
Ma'am.
Yes. 3 to postpone, 2 against. Thank you. D, we have an appointment for the Minden Planning Commission to replace Linda Miller, whose term expired, and to the nomination for this appointment is Mr. Steve Wilson. Do I have a motion?
Upon the recommendation of the building official Brent Cooley, I move to appoint Mr. Steve Wilson to the Minden Planning Commission to replace Mrs. Linda Miller, and whose term will expire July 2024.
I have a motion made by Ms. Bloxham,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Beard. Do we have any discussion? And Mr. Wilson is in District C. No.
With this committee, it's the same as the previous item on the agenda. All the districts are not represented. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's more representatives from District E.
Right.
That's
Then
correct.
it is, yeah,
Yeah, that's
so-
correct. And as they roll off, we're appointing different positions.
Steve will make the second person for District C.
Okay?
No.
No.
There currently is no representative from District C. That's why we chose someone from District C to try and bring things into order the way you all want. Our next appointment will be in July, and that will be another person from E rolling off, and then we can address another district that's not represented. That's the
Mr.
only way we can do it.
Mr. Bradford, are you okay with this for your district?
I'm okay with Mr. Wilson. I mean, we need somebody from my district, I'm okay with it.
So we have a motion on the table. We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay. All passes with Ms. Walker, nay, Ms. Pittman. Condemned properties. Mr. Kitchens, would you come up to the microphone, please?
Mayor Gardner and members of the City Council, I was appointed on August the 7th of last year as curator to represent a property owner in this condemnation proceeding. The property owner is listed by the Webster Parish Tax Assessor as Ordy Cornelius Noah. And the tax assessor's records also indicate that the person responsible is named Wanda Anderson, whose address was 1414 Webster Street in Minden, Louisiana. I contacted Wanda Anderson. I talked to her by telephone, and it was on December the 16th. And from Ms. Anderson, I learned this information. Ordy Cornelius Noah was the mother of Wanda Anderson, and Mrs. Noah died in the year 2006. Her husband was James Anderson, who's also deceased. Wanda Anderson is the only surviving child and the only heir of Ordy Cornelius Noah. This property was a separate property of Ordy Cornelius Noah. She acquired the property by donation from her daughter, Wanda Anderson, February 26, 2004. Wanda Anderson told me that she came to City Hall and paid $180 for a permit to demolish the house on the property, but she had not yet been able to do so. I told Mrs. Anderson that she should come to this meeting. I recommended that she come to the meeting and express her wishes to. I do not know her personally, so I cannot tell you whether she is here or not. Maybe I could sound the audience and see. Is Ms. Wanda Anderson here? I don't see that she's here. I can only tell the council and the mayor that what she told me, I've told you that she said she had a building permit or demolition permit. She told me that she needed more time. And I advised her that she should come here and ask the mayor and the council for more time. I don't represent her, so I can only tell you what she told me, that was her wishes, and I leave it in your hands.
Mr. Cooley, has she purchased a permit?
Yes, she has. In fact, I stopped by the property this morning, and there are a group of people there working towards cleaning up the property, and their concern was could they get some time. So based on that, I would recommend that we give them at least 90 days to get it taken care of.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
I would like to offer for evidence the letter that I wrote to the council, city council. Also, the letter that I sent to Ms. Wanda Anderson on behalf of Orby Cornelius Noah. And if I may submit that to you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Do I have a motion to give her 90 more days?
Yes, as the building official recommended, I move a motion to give them 90 days to start on the cleanup.
Second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Bradford, seconded by Ms. Walker. Do we have any more discussion on that? No more discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item F on the agenda is to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the City of Pineville, Louisiana. Our airport manager is here, Stephen Bordeaux. Would you come up here and explain to them how we have surplus and why we want to donate this to the City of Pineville after we declare it surplus?
Good evening, everybody. So this is a surplus piece of equipment. It's what's called a wind cone assembly. It's just a pole with a little swiveling device at the top with a big 12-foot long wind cone attached to it. Lets pilots know what direction the wind's going. Ours got taken down with our last big taxiway project and got replaced with a newer version and relocated to a different place. So ours has just been laying on the ground over by our electrical vault since then. I kept it on hand just in case we might need it for parts or something, but it's actually not compatible with our lighting system now. It's different electricity. So whenever I saw the damage from the tornado at the Pineville Airport, I reached out to them to see if maybe they could use it because we can't really anymore. So they were interested in trying to get it from us. I told them I would do the research to figure out what that would take. So this is it, a cooperative endeavor agreement between us and them to basically transfer this surplus property to the city of Pineville. So.
And this was bought with FAA grant money?
Correct, yes. This was purchased with FAA and DOT grant money back in 2003, 2004 timeframe. So there was no cost to the city of Minden. So that's it.
Okay.
Well, I move to enter into a corporate endeavor agreement with the city of Pineville, Louisiana regarding L 807 wind clone assembly for Minden Airport as presented.
Motion made by Mr. Taylor,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Beard. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Item G is the Minden Rec Booster Club, Inc. This is to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Minden Booster Club and look at their bylaws. And do we have, I see the president of the Minden Booster Club is here. Would you like to come up and explain that, Mr. Gray?
Hello. Good afternoon. Yes, so we started the Booster Club, and we are seeking to accept approval of the organization and to work together hand in hand with the city.
Do we have any, well, let's make a motion first. Do I have a motion?
I move to accept the Minden Rec Booster Club, Inc., and after review, and I can't do this because I'll tell you, the Booster Club, can we discuss before that motion is made? No.
No, we have to make, you don't have to read it exactly like it says. We can line through anything that you want to change. I mean, this is just a suggestion.
I move to accept the Minden Rec Booster Club, Inc., and authorize the city attorney to draw up a corporate endeavor agreement between the city of Minden and the Minden Rec Booster Club, and to be considered by the city council.
Okay. We have a motion made by Ms. Bloxham, seconded by Mr. Beard. Okay, for discussion now.
Okay, so we talked about the Booster Club being a part of the city or having a corporate endeavor agreement with necessary changes being made. So if it's passed today, it will be with the understanding that some changes need to be made to this agreement, whereas, well, like it says, Minden Rec. It should be Minden Parks and Recreation because the Booster Club should take care. The Minden Recreation Complex should not be the main focus of the Booster Club when we have other parks and recreation places.
Yeah, the intent of the Booster Club is for the Minden Rec, and like I've told you personally, like I have a 2-year plan to incorporate all of Parks and Rec, but the focus now is to raise funds for Minden Rec. We as a Booster Club do believe that the recreational complex can be a catalyst for economic development and further the growth of Minden. That is the core of what we want to do. That is what I'm requesting. I'm requesting to advertise, raise money, go after grants specifically for the rec. Now, like I've told, I think the majority of y'all up here, my two-year plan does have subcommittees in the Men and Rec Booster Club to incorporate different parks. Have a district A, B, C, D, and E subcommittee for each park in those districts. That is a big undertaking. You're asking me to create an organization to include all parks and rec for the entire city when I've got, 6 people on my board that were working hard with just what we got. Yes, I mean, we want to include every parks and rec, but in the beginning, my scope is 100% for the rec. I don't know if that answers your question, but I mean, that's what we want to do.
I understand what you want to do, but I'm saying it should be inclusive of the other two recreation, the ballparks. Because even if you're doing travel ball and it's a tournament, those other parks can be utilized. The one at Babs, the one at Ewell, so I'm
I
saying.
mean, already we've already had donations go towards Ewell Park to try to get a batting cage out there. So we're already incorporating other parks. But again, the sole focus is to raise money for the rec with subcommittees to come. And those amendments would be made to the bylaws as we grow as an organization. So yeah, if you're saying if they're approved today with the understanding that we're going to expand, absolutely. That's been my plan since I jumped on.
Okay.
There's just a lot of parks in City of Minden. I didn't realize how many there were. There's a lot, and a lot of them need upkeep.
Mayor, may I?
Yes.
Okay, so when the bylaws and the corporation was adopted by the Secretary of State, that's indicating that the Minden Rec Booster Club is self-sustaining, that they answer to no one except their membership. So that indicates that the council has no control over your bylaws. Only your members can change those bylaws. And then also, I'd like to tell the community about what happened. When the Booster Club started, we were getting a lot of information and a lot of inquiries from local businesses wanting to know how they could participate. Mr. Taylor came to the mayor and said that he thought that Ewell Park needed to have some of the funding that was being generated by the Booster Club for the rec. And the mayor said, Mr. Taylor, why don't you ask Pam to help you get a booster club started for Ewell Park? And then we can start focusing on getting Ewell Park up to snuff, just like we're doing with the recreational complex. As of today, Mr. Taylor's not asked me for help, which I would have generously given him, and we could have created the same entity for Ewell Park, and perhaps the neighborhood members could have been more supportive and taking an active lead in trying to get Ewell Park up to what it could be as well. Thank you.
I would like to add that we don't mind doing subcommittees and letting that be inclusive in what we already have started. We don't have, for me, I don't mind starting something new. It's just, I don't mind including all parks, just letting that be said. I don't mind doing that.
Okay.
I want everything there, but the board's focus is economic growth through the rec.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Do we have any other comments or suggestions?
So we're not gonna vote on this until we change it to Parks and Recreation?
No, it can't be changed. It's already been adopted by the Secretary of State as the REC, Inc., LLC.
Okay, so you're saying that the way the bylaws were created, Booster Club answers to no one.
Right.
Yet they want to do things with the city property. So the Booster Club will have to answer to the council.
The Booster Club will have to have the council's permission to spend the money, but the council cannot dictate how the bylaws are to be changed for the Booster Club.
Okay, so why didn't you say that at the workshop when we had the discussion about any necessary changes being made to the bylaws? You said nothing about that at the workshop.
I didn't know what bylaws, you didn't even have a copy of the bylaws, Ms. Walker.
I didn't need a
You
copy.
didn't have
I
them,
didn't
you
need a
wanted to
copy.
look at them.
I
You
didn't
said
need a
that,
copy of the bylaws. I said, if we do this, it's with the understanding that whatever changes need to be made, then we would do it.
Well, it's just like the employee's manual. I didn't know what those changes were either, so that's why I never elected to put that on the agenda. I don't know what changes you're talking about until you talk about what changes you want to make.
You don't know about the employee manual because you left the meeting, you had another
Uh-huh,
engagement.
And 1 hour early. I did.
Anyway, I have, Mr. Minifield, are you anywhere on coming up with the cooperative endeavor agreement that I asked you to draw up several months ago? Are you anywhere working on that?
No, I haven't even seen the bylaws or anything.
Okay,
It just needs to be continued until we can
Okay.
meet with these people.
okay. So we've talked about it so long. Did we make a motion?
Yeah,
Yes.
Pam did, I seconded it.
Okay, so we have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion passes. So it's accepted. Okay. H, the budget and financial report. Mr. Fleur, you're up.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, residents of the City of Minden coming here tonight, I'm glad to see you all because participation is all what it takes to know what's going on in the city. So thank you for coming.
Yep.
The financial report usually starts, and always starts out with the announcement that the accounting department provided to you all, Mayor, including the City Council members, the summary report for all major funds for the month of November for your review. The period activities indicate that in the general fund, we spent slightly more than revenue was collected. When I say slightly, it's $12,000. The water and electric fund shows a surplus for the month of approximately $273,000. But overall, if you're going to look at the figures, revenues and expenses are below budgeted amounts. On the revenue side, it has to do with the property tax, which comes in December, which will change the figures. On the water and electric side, we only have the actually October bill for SWEPCO in the expenses. So the figures are a little bit offset, but in general, revenues and expenses are below budgeted amounts. Sales tax collection for the month of November, $469,000. Previous months, $510,000. Previous year for the same time period, $467,000. So we are slightly above. But the budgeted amount, as usual, at the beginning of the calendar year, is a little bit higher, like every month at $514,000. So at the moment, I'm not concerned about the $45,000. I believe we're going to pick it up. The delinquent sales tax, which was collected in the $469,000, was $15,000. What has to be said also on the figures you see, specifically on the expense side, no big ticket items have been put through the accounting department, means we haven't done anything yet. No street overlays, the money is sitting there. The water department has to do some work. These are ticket items, $500,000, $600,000. Nothing has been done so far. 9 months we have left. So I would urge the council to talk to the department heads and see what's going on. I talked today, for an example, to the supervisor of the street department. He has 3 streets in mind he wants to do, but he still have to figure out how we're going to do it, what we're going to do it. I only know that after talking to him a couple of times, he has a 5-year plan. In these 5 years, he has the streets listed, which need to be done. And we talk about probably $10 million for these 5 years. But that's at least the plan. Now it's up to the council what has to be done. We need to go through RFPs, budget requests, bids put out, and request quotes and so on. So I would urge the council to talk to the department heads. The cash report at the end of at the end of November, we show a total of $18.1 million. Previous month, 17.7. Same time period a year ago, we were at 15.3. There are a couple of reasons for it. If you need more detailed information, please ask me. Come to my office. Some other financial information I want to give you. First of all, the audit has started. We had Mrs. Cole in our office today, and they're going to roll in tomorrow morning and start their audit. We are behind time schedule. It's not because of us. We have to work together, so it's on both sides a little bit a delay. Number 2, we received information, and that is some concern for me. We received information starting in July 2020, the projected contribution rate for the firefighter retirement, means what the employer has to pay, will increase by 4.5% and will go up to 32.25%. I also heard, but it's not confirmed, I only heard this, that the other 2 retirement systems probably will follow. No amounts were mentioned, no percentage, but about 1.5 years ago, there was a conversation that the police department, for an example, goes up to 50% on retirement. So for the next budget year, the council will face some decisions to be made in reference to personnel cost. Just for your information, the current police retirement system is at 32.5%. And the regular employees at 27.75%. So on an average is 30% what the employer has to pay. The settlement money from SWEPCO, remember we talked about the $400,000 we got, was put into a CD account until we know what we're going to do with. Unfortunately, since the economy is pretty good, the CD rates are going down. And we invested the $400,000 and we got a rate of 1.75%. About 5-6 months ago, we were over 2%. So the CD rates are going down. We also have, and I don't know if you all know, we have an unexpected emergency repair to make at the water plant. You see that generator, the backup generator sitting there, failed to kick in when the power was gone, and the estimated repair costs are $25,000. Luckily, the money is in the water plant department because we did not plan on a major well overhaul, so the money is there. The repair has to be done because if the power goes out, I'm sure you all want to go to the bathroom, so water has to flow. At the end, and that's my final comment, at the end of March, the city's health insurance program is due for renewal. At the moment, it is not clear what the price increase in more than 450 brand name medications will do to the health insurance systems. I listened around, I had a couple conversations. We probably have to expect a 2% increase in the premiums, but that is not a figure in stone, it's just a conversation, what was coming. We have in the months of, for the month of December, we're gonna see the property tax coming in, and I received several phone calls from residents here in Minden. Where do I pay my property tax? The property tax, even for the city of Minden, is paid at the sheriff's office at the courthouse. With all that said, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If not, I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Fleur. Chief Cropper, you're up.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, the month of November, we collected $5,711 in city fines, $130 to the crime lab, $549 to the city court, $510 to the marshal's office, $745 to the indigent defender's office, $34 to the clerk's fund, $127.50 to the Ware Center, $26 to the Louisiana Commission on Law Enforcement, $203.50 to off-duty witness fees, $51 to the Court Case Management Information System, $65 to the Louisiana Traumatic Head and Spinal Cord Injury Trust Fund, $170 to the Judicial Building Fund, $6.50 to the Judicial Education Fund, totaling $8,328.50.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
you said the Louisiana Traumatic Head and Spinal Cord Injury Trust Fund was how much?
$65.
Do we have a motion to accept Chief Cropper's report?
I move to accept the police report for November 2019 as presented.
Motion made by Mr. Bradford, seconded by Ms. Walker. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Chief, will you give us your oral report, please, sir?
Just got a couple of things to go over. Just want to report that we had a relatively safe holiday season. I think we made 2 arrests on New Year's Eve. One of them was alcohol related, but it was not traffic-wise. It was kind of semi-domestic. But everybody's safe. We had a good holiday season. For the month of December, we actually worked 34 accidents on our city streets. We answered 669 calls for service, wrote 144 reports. Our officers actually wrote 76 citations, made 52 arrests. We had 50 warrants issued and actually served 25 of those 50. And that's all I have.
Okay. Appreciate it, Chief Cropper.
Thank y'all.
Item J on the agenda is for the memorial sign at the Minden Rec Complex. This is a memorial that was made to create a fence and gates. And do I have a motion?
I move to have the Chief T.C. Blossom Memorial Field sign removed from the football and soccer field at the Minden Recreation Complex within 72 hours.
I have a motion to have
Second.
the sign removed within 72 hours and seconded by Teresa Walker. Do we have any discussion about that? Would you give us your name, please, ma'am?
Karen Hamilton. I'm curious to know if the sign is removed, who is paying for the removal?
Mr. Taylor?
Honestly, the sign was put there on city property, so.
I understand that. My
Wait,
question
I was
is, who
gonna
is
answer your
paying for it?
question. Well, the owner of the sign, being that the sign is trespassing on city property, will have to pay to have the sign removed.
Well, the owner of the sign's a Booster Club.
It's trespassing on city property.
Okay,
I don't think that was a question for Mr. Taylor to answer, you know.
no, I'm just
Yeah.
asking in,
Okay,
General.
because I think the mayor could answer that question better than Mr. Taylor.
is this something that y'all have put to a vote already and decided who was gonna pay for the removal?
No.
Then I think maybe that should be done.
No, we don't vote to see who's going to pay. We vote whether we want to have it removed or not.
A donation is made, the donation for $41,000. Now, from my understanding, it only costs about $8,000 to put up the gate and the fence. So that means there's some remainder of money. My question is, Ms. Pam, are you asking for your donation back?
I'm not asking to have the gate or the fence removed. I'm perfectly fine where it is right now.
But if it is removed, are you requiring to have your donation paid back to you?
I think that would be fair. $41,000 returned.
Okay, but you did say you were doing this for the kids.
I did do it for the kids.
Okay, so the fact that T.C. Bloxham's name is up there decides whether or not you did it for the kids or for him?
No, ma'am.
I'm just saying that if you go into court with a case and you don't follow proper procedure, then your case is thrown out and you lose that money. You don't get that back.
That's correct,
You know, and so if you said you did it for the kids
which I did.
and the sign is voted, you're only voting to take the sign down, correct? Not the fence?
It's all or nothing.
All or nothing?
But ma'am, it did, the expense, Joel, can you clarify, the expense was much more than $8,000?
I don't know the exact number, but I think it's in the 30-something.
Okay, but that work was done and you cannot get that money back from the contractor, so that money is spent. So who are you requesting the money from? The recreation center?
I haven't got to that point yet because I don't want to take the sign nor the fence down. I can't answer your question. I haven't considered that.
Well, there's a lot to be considered before we just jump on a decision about the sign.
Well, you
And-
kind of answered your own question when you said if it wasn't done properly, and it wasn't done properly. So,
Right, but if she is, and I understand that, but y'all have to decide on that, but if she's requesting her money back, then that's another thing that's gonna have to be voted on. And where is it gonna come from? Is it gonna come from the city? Is it gonna come straight from the Booster Club, who may not have those funds anymore? And the rec department is the city. So where's the money gonna come from if she wants her money refunded?
We
So
don't,
that's something to consider.
mayor to decide.
Well, the city is not going to refund the $41,000 because the city has not accepted the sign or the fence from the Booster Club as of today.
Okay, so,
It
and
is.
it's not going to get accepted. I mean, we can just
It
say
is
that.
sitting on city property,
Okay.
but we haven't accepted the donation as of yet.
Excuse me, Mayor, the fence and the sign is up. It seems to me it was accepted. The work has been paid for.
By the Booster Club. not by the
I
city.
understand, but you cannot get that money back from the contractors who did the work. So somebody has to pay the money back if she's requesting her money back.
Ultimately, the Booster Club would probably have to refund it. But the Booster Club does not have the money either because it's already been donated to the rec complex for other items.
And has the Booster Club been approved yet?
It was just approved tonight.
Okay, all right. I just still think there's more to consider before y'all take a vote on whether or not to remove the sign at this point.
Well, maybe we should have an alternative motion.
I don't want to feel like I'm the devil advocate here. We had our concerns about T.C. Bloxham. T.C. Bloxham. He received our vote from our neighborhood. Majority of the people voted for him, regardless if they didn't like him or whatever. Whatever he did in the past, let's move on. But before Ms. Blossom takes the sound down, ask the voters what they think. I think you should ask the voters. Are we elected y'all for council? Let the voters decide to take it down or not. They like TC, they support it. And that sign is in still a dominant black neighborhood in my neighborhood. From 1956 all the way now. Let the voters decide to take it down. They like, a lot of black folks like TC. A lot of them didn't. So let the voters decide to take it down. And I go along, keep it up there. But let us have an opportunity of sharing our concern as taxpayers, as a citizen. Let the voters decide. We voted y'all, let the voters decide to keep it. I hope she will keep it up, because nobody else that I know of have never did nothing for that neighborhood too much. And the very people that we condemn, that's who we support. That's who we voted for. And I think the sign should, like I said, I compliment this lady for getting the 41,000. The church could have did it. The alumni, that we raised money for Sun Function, the different groups, the Masons, all those could have put the $40,000 up there. But that was none of our concern. I compliment you. I hope you give another 40,000. Thank you.
Okay, y'all know how I feel about it. Further, I understand why y'all want it, but what is the big deal about taking it down? And y'all know I've voiced my, I think it was done incorrectly. I think they knew they were doing it incorrectly. That's why 4 of y'all didn't know about it. But the sign is up, and it is for the kids. So with that being said, what is the purpose of taking it down now? Since everything's been done, the field's there, the fence is up, what's truly your purpose for taking it down? Since it's not hurting anybody, it's not a person, it's not hurting anyone. I guess it's kind of a little safety, I guess. I mean, I have not seen it in person. I've only seen it, in the paper and stuff. So I guess that's what I'm asking. What's the purpose of it coming down? We understand it wasn't done right, but it's done. So hello? I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. I want to know, we all agree, or 99% of us would agree that it was done wrong, but
So
it's
why
done,
leave it
it's
up
there.
if it was done wrong, it's in violation of the law, why leave it up?
Well, because you violating the law, because last time I rode by, you wasn't living behind the church anymore.
Really? Since
Yeah.
when?
And I got a lot of your friends telling me you don't live there. So you're not doing things right, but at least she's trying to help the kids. So what is wrong with the inanimate object being there now?
It was done wrong. I mean,
And
it's,
Tarika, I
here's the
get
thing.
that.
And we've had a discussion about it.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I understand it, but now, I mean, if we can't seem to get past that, we can either stay here until y'all leave in 3 years, or we can try to get past it. And I guess I'm at the point to where, yeah, I'm caving because I think you did it wrong. I think you did it wrong.
Intentionally.
But it's done. But set forth, if y'all don't want to go back, say from January of 2019 when all of y'all got elected, grandfather every sign-in that y'all have talked about in the past and start new, then let this go and try to start new now and see if we can heal. You know, and I'm just saying, y'all, we look so silly. I mean, you know, I have family that's out of town, and now their big joke is, when is y'all city council meeting? It's embarrassing. I mean, I get mad, but I love my little town, and we need to try to move forward. So if we can try to put this part, we agree that it was done wrong, but it's done. Let's put it down and move past it so we can make our city better. That's all I'm asking.
I would like to answer Mr. Taylor's question of since when. Since August 6, 2019, when you signed your VA loan documents.
Karen, let's stick with the sign. Let's stick with the sign.
Okay, all right. Follow procedure.
According to the first contract.
I don't know how she got them, but I would like to
Wait,
address
wait.
that. No, I want to address that because if you actually read that paper, it says at least one of the borrowers need to be staying on the property, and I can own plenty of properties. I actually own 3 properties in the city of Minden, and the other borrower on there.
According to,
But how did you get my personal information? Like,
oh, this is public. This is public information.
Next comment, please, sir.
I'm Philip McInnes. I've been a resident of Minden all of my life. And I'll have to ask for you to pardon me for my brief remarks. I haven't been to any of the other meetings. So I've read some, but I haven't been here for any of them. You know, frankly, I kind of feel like I've walked into a Twilight Zone episode. I can't imagine why we're having the problems we're having because of the name of somebody like T.C. Bloxham, who signed up for the fire department when he was 14 years old in the middle of World War II, served for 63 years, 37 of them as the chief, 26 years with the sheriff's department, 2 decades as our chief of police. I realize everybody's got different opinions about people. For me, as I was growing up, he's always been famous, and I think for a lot of people always will be. So if he's not worthy of having, you know, his name on a sign at the rec park, you know, please don't anybody ever nominate me for anything like that. And I can't think of another public servant in this community that's had that long a tenure and has been that important to this community, not to mention his church, not to mention other civic groups. I drove out to the rec, my kids are long gone, I drove out to the rec park today to find this, I was expecting to see something with neon lights on it or something. I couldn't even, on a drive-by, I couldn't even find the sign. But I called, I got some advice on where it was, walked out there. The field is very attractive, the fence is wonderful there, and, you know, the sign is very appropriate and certainly nothing, you know, overblown. I'm just going to ask you this, because I have no idea, you know, how we've gotten to where we are on this as somebody that's just walking in on the back end. Some other people have already this lady back here that just spoke a little while ago, I think certainly made a lot of the remarks that I think I would have liked to have made if I, had the opportunity to talk to all of you. I'm just going to say this. If the sign has got to be taken down because of the protocol not being correct to begin with, okay, if it's taken down and then we come back and there is a motion made for the city to accept, or for the Booster Club to accept a further contribution to put the sign back up, and it's done properly, are you going to be willing, if somebody pays for it, are you going to be willing to put the sign back up? Or is there something about TC Bloxham that is just in your craw so bad that you would not vote for it under any circumstances? So that's my question to you as we sit here right now, stand here. I'm sorry?
I don't think that's going to be agreed to. I think it's a personal issue. That's my opinion, though.
Okay.
I think that's what it has to do because of Ms. Bloxham.
Okay.
And I
About the
just sit
people that
here, I
want-
sit here a lot of times, Mr. McInnes, in the
Yes.
middle, kind of watching this. It's like a tennis match back and forth. And it's been a tough year, but that's just my opinion, though. I may be speaking out of turn, and I don't mean to speak for other people on the council.
I
But that's
appreciate
just-
your
That's just
candor.
my opinion on that, from
Absolutely.
what I have seen and what I observed over the last year, 6 months especially, that I think that it's a personal issue.
I understand. Okay.
I think there's some problems between, some of the members on the council and the mayor.
All right. And we're going to,
That's my opinion. As I said, I'm
Right.
sorry, I don't mean to speak for everyone. That's just the way I see it.
okay. I appreciate that.
For me, it's
Ms.
not personal.
I'm sorry?
Turn your microphone on, Tarika.
It's on. For me, it's not personal.
Okay.
It's about following protocol. And for 6 months, especially the last 6 months, we've been having the issues we've been having because protocol has not been followed. That's why we have, and Lisa's family feel like, okay, hey, when is it time for the city council? When is the next city council meeting? That's why people want to watch it. But things are done intentionally to create chaos. And that's the problem. Protocol was not followed.
Okay.
Not at all.
If
And that's why we have the issues we have.
Okay.
Although several people think it's a racial thing, it's a black-white thing. No, it's not. It's right or wrong. You need to follow protocol.
Okay.
It's nothing personal against Pam.
Okay.
It's just about doing
Okay.
the right thing the right way.
I understand exactly what you're saying. Now, if the sign gets taken down, because it was not done according to protocol, it can forever never be put back up again. Is that the situation? Or if somebody says, I will pay to put the sign back up, and we're going to go through the proper protocol, and we're going to do it right this time, and make sure everybody knows exactly what's going on, is there a problem with putting the sign back up?
What we've discussed with Joel is that it would be better served if it was a business name at the fields instead of someone. Yeah. Yeah. Because you avoid the problems you have now if a business is sponsoring a field versus a person. Yeah, you really do. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I said, I'll pay to put it back up, and we're going to go back through protocol, still a dead issue.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I can't speak for everyone.
Okay. Well, I'll make that offer right now.
The original contract says, there shall be no other form of advertising whatsoever within the confines of all said fields unless consent thereto is obtained from the Coca-Cola bottling company.
That's an old contract.
Will you shut up and listen sometime?
Hey, people.
I haven't finished.
Wow.
There should be no other form of advertising or any structure of any said ball field unless consent therefore is obtained from the second party. There should be no other form of advertising in the immediate vicinity of any or all of said fields. Said vicinity to specifically include but not be limited to any and all concession stands or area of said complex unless consent thereto is obtained.
Well, this isn't advertising, is
Well,
it?
this is saying
If
that-
if it was my company on there, it would be
that contract
advertising, but this is not.
When did that contract expire, Mr. Bradford?
Do we have a new one?
No, it expired. It's null and void.
Is it expired?
Yes.
It says here 5 years and they have 5 years to renew it. And this
Look
was
at the date on
signed-
the back.
This was signed May of 2011,
It expired in,
May 26th of 11.
it's
So it
expired.
hadn't been 10 years.
Mr.
Well,
Minifield?
I've been up here too long, but I'm going to let that offer stand for y'all's behind-the-scenes conversations. If we got to take the sign down and put the sign back up with proper protocol, I'll pay to put the sign back up.
Thank you. How do I look at that?
No, you can get one, you can look at it. You're welcome to look at it.
Mr. Minifield, can you tell me when that contract expires, please?
Mayor, may I say something while we're waiting? Another thing that there's been some concern expressed about advertising at the rec complex by some of our businesses and all. And I don't really understand what the concern is because when I go to other cities, Ruston, other cities, they're sponsored by their banks, by corporations, by construction companies and things like that. And two things. First of all, it provides some income for us down there at any of our parks if they want to do that. And secondly, it's a goodwill between our businesses and our community. And so that's something I hope we can look at. I don't understand what the problem is with that economically. I think that's a good idea. So I just wanted to share that because I don't understand why our banks or anyway, corporations, whatever, our businesses cannot donate money and have some advertisement down there. It's good for all involved. So.
It was signed in 2011. The contract's for 5 years. It's expired.
What did you say?
It's expired.
It's expired.
Has it been renewed?
No.
5 years from the date.
Has
They
it
didn't-
been renewed?
No.
Okay, it was expired in what, 2016?
2000
understanding is the contract is expired, but I'm not the lawyer.
I mean, what day did?
Mr. Minifield, is it expired,
what
yes
day
or
did
no?
it expire? We didn't renew it with the Coca-Cola plant?
No,
It's expired.
it's expired. Thank you.
So we don't have a new one?
So we don't have a new one.
Okay. Let's vote.
Okay,
I have to make a comment here
okay.
concerning basically the new agreement that you all made with this, what's that, the Booster Club now.
We don't have an agreement with them.
Okay, good. We don't have anything going with them right now because from what I understand, what they did went through Secretary of State and cannot be amended. I'm not sure we can even enter into a so-called cooperative indemnity agreement. I have to look at that because they got stringent laws and so does the city. And we can't have a private party dominating the rules of the city. So that's something I'm gonna have to look into and see whether or not it is possible. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it doesn't look that way right now. And I'll let you know on that particular issue, but as far as the sign and that kind of thing is concerned, the only thing I have to say about that is this. Whether a sign goes up or not, you still got to come through the council.
direct. It's a conditional offer.
I'm sorry?
It's not a direct, it's a conditional offer when they make that donation.
They didn't make it. They went out there and put a sign up. Yeah, I mean, you can't put anything on private property.
How can you get the sheriff to take it down?
Well,
How can you get the sheriff to take it down?
let me ask you a question, Mr. Minifield.
Okay.
How long have you been a city attorney?
About 30-something years.
30-something years. Okay, well, I'm going to go back 47 years. 47 years ago, Ewell Park was named after Mr. Ewell and a street, and it didn't get council approval. Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. There's two other nonprofits here in town, and this is how I based my decision on letting the fence and the gate put on there, because it hadn't been followed for 47 years. There hadn't been permission. So when the nonprofit, the Minden Historic Residential District, decided to put up lamp posts up there on city property, there was no council approval. When the gazebo was put in the Academy Park, there was no council approval. When 16 oak trees have been planted there in memory of several individuals, there was no council approval. When there was a fence put around the ash tree paid for by another nonprofit in town, there was no council approval. When the gazebo was completely rehabbed down there, there was no council approval. And I can keep going on and on and on. So that's why I've explained in every meeting the sign has come up. That's why I did what I did. I didn't do it maliciously, and I didn't do it on purpose. I followed protocol from four previous mayors, that the way they had done it, and that follows suit because it hasn't been followed. And the word adorn, and what you keep hanging your hat on, is Christmas lights. And that's in the city charter.
Okay, so that's the problem.
Let me say
That
this.
you did it. You're not the governing authority for the city of Minden.
I am the governing
No,
authority.
no,
I am the governing authority. You're the legislative branch. You're the legislative branch. I'm the governing authority. He's the judicial branch. And that's how it is. Read the charter, and if it's not in the charter, we follow under the Larson Act. I am the appointing authority.
No, we're not under the law.
We're not under the
I
law.
said if it's not in the charter, we fall under the Larson Act.
No.
It's
Yes.
in the
That's the way that
charter
go.
that the city council is the governing authority.
No.
You are not the governing authority, so that's where you went wrong.
That's section 3.
First of all, let me say this. I don't have a dog in this fight. All I want is the law to be followed. Now, you went way back 40-something years and brought up a whole lot of things that went on. The law has changed since then, Mayor.
I just wondered why you didn't bring it up in all that time.
I wasn't around 40-something years ago.
I mean, if the law was being broken on all these other things that I mentioned, why didn't you bring it to somebody's attention? Because you're the judicial person, so why didn't you bring it to the previous mayor's attention that they weren't doing it correctly?
lot of
That's what I'm
times-
asking.
When somebody has done something, I don't go around, I'm not a policeman, I'm not a hunter, I don't look for things to criticize.
You're supposed to protect the city. You work for the city.
Well, I do protect the city. And if the council has voted on something, or if something has been done in this city over a period of time and nobody objected, there's something called prescription. You accept it. But now, Minden has to be as modern as any other city on this continent.
Okay, so then if TC Bloxham's sign has to come down with knowing that, so I apologize, I did not know all those other things had gone that far back. So with that being said, then I say y'all vote to remove Ewell Park's name and the street sign within 72 hours.
I see.
And let it be voted on.
And the gazebo and everything.
It needs to be removed. If the Bloxham sign has to be removed, if all those other things were done illegal, then it needs to be changed within 72 hours.
I don't know whether or not, when that happened, it was illegal to do it. I keep. Oh, well, look, we're getting into semantics now.
Okay.
But let me say this.
Yes.
When I became the city attorney, the laws and the rules and regulation of this whole state changed. The legislature of the state of Louisiana implemented laws. It's just like the law about rental and the law about selling private property. A city can't sell private property or rent it under certain circumstances. Even if it's property that is sold at a sheriff's sale. There are rules that promulgated now that we have to follow now. Not just the city of Minden, all across the United States. Now, this stuff about if we don't have a law, we have laws now. But if we didn't have laws, we don't fall under the Larson Act. You have to adopt that whole system. It's a separate system by itself. That's why it's called that. Just like what we have is a special charter. That's the Constitution for the city of Minden. And the problem that we have with that, and I'm just going to tell you the truth, it's the way the power is distributed in your Constitution. That's what the problem is. And that's been causing a problem between not just this mayor, but the primary and the primary and the primary. Why don't you read it? Let me ask you something.
Wait, Larry. Wait, just hope, we've got to get through with her comment. Go ahead and
Okay,
finish your
the first
comment.
thing I'd like to say is anything in the past is in the past. The statute of limitations has passed. So if we have to take down TC Bloxham sign, we cannot automatically start calling down for other signs that have been there for years and years. However, if the issue is following proper protocol, then I think the proper protocol should be followed everywhere, including living in your district, not the Bellagio apartments or on Hackett Street. Okay? So, yes, ma'am, I know that too. So, let's follow protocol all the way around, not just for what's convenient for you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
No, let me go
Wait a
ahead.
minute, the only thing that I recommend that,
Let me address the Bellagio, because that was directed towards me. Yeah, okay, so, no, you had your chance.
Did I
interrupt you,
speak your name, or
but-
did you automatically
but
know it
looked
was
at
you?
me. I knew it was me.
Yeah, there's a
I knew
reason.
it was me. I knew it was me. But my daughter lived there. My daughter lived there. She lived there when she was in school. So yes, I did sign the lease, if you must know. I have no problem telling you. You could go and check her lease now in Georgia. My name is on that one. Do I live there? Thank you.
Do we?
now, that's one thing that I need to say. I would.
Wait. Karen,
Say, let's just call for an outside investigator to come in and investigate all protocol that's been
You know what?
violated.
I think we should do that. I agree. Now, we agree on that. I think we should.
Okay. Mr. Minifield, did you have something to say?
No,
I think this was really enlighten everybody in this room. Read our Constitution, read our charter. That's all you gotta do.
and when you read the charter, if it's not in the charter, we fall back on the Larson Act, and that's,
No.
yes, yes,
No.
and that's attached
No.
in the front of our charter.
No.
Okay, so now what
Hey,
we're gonna
folks,
do.
what he just said is not true.
So, yeah, I do. I think
You know-
everyone should read the Section 3 of the charter, where
No.
it says, "The council, which should be the governing body of the said city with the power and authority to pass additional bylaws and ordinance." The council, not the mayor. The mayor's duties are to preside over the meetings, not the governing authority.
My question is, okay. Y'all not gonna like it, and I don't care. I don't care. Y'all not gonna like it.
Mr. Woodford, come up to the microphone.
Okay, now, I have a question for Mr. Benefield. By him being a city attorney for 30 years, what my question is, if the rule of law had been followed in the past, and you sitting here 30 years, not 40, but 30 years, it's your fault. Because you let it go on. That's all I need to say. You let it go on. So what we were discussing tonight, it's all your fault because you let it go on. If somebody was breaking the rules, sir, you ought to say something. You ought to say something. And you did. So it's your fault.
When they clap, don't say anything.
Well, you know, Mr. Woolfolk, when you know better, you do better, and so that's why we're rectifying it right now. So, yeah. But now that we know better, now we can't, you know, we have no control over what the previous council did. If they said and they didn't say anything, that's on them, but.
Okay. That's good enough.
I'm Mike Harper, Mendon resident, and the protocols and the regulations and the ordinance you were referring to about the sign, the T.C. Bloxham sign, when were those adopted? What was the date that those ordinances were adopted?
The last time the ordinance was changed was in 1978. That was the last time it was changed.
So we're rolling back.
So that means it's been in place since then, because that was the last change to the last time the statute was revised, and the charter was revised for the city of Mendon.
1978, where it specifies about things being erected on city property. 1978.
I don't know if that was changed. There were just 2 or 3 things in there changed. I don't know exactly what they were.
But it's basically been in place since then, so these things that you mentioned were basically illegal.
Mm-hmm.
Erected on city property.
Correct.
Somebody's private property.
On city property
I
without
think,
council
you know,
approval.
obviously, I think it's ridiculous to remove a sign and not give a valid reason. And I think it sends a terrible message to the citizens of the city that might be interested in donating money, time, et cetera, for the kids, or for whatever the cause. I think you're sending a terrible message. We don't like the sign because it wasn't, that's not true, because protocols weren't followed. Anyway, it sends a terrible message, and I urge you to reconsider.
Could I say just one other thing, Mayor? All those things that you mentioned over the past, way before I was born, some of them almost, but they're all positive things. That's the thing. Every one of them, they're positive things that when I was growing up in Homer, coming to Mendon, those were the things that I was impressed with Mendon. They were all positive things, and that's what made Mendon a positive place to live. So it's a shame that we're discussing, something that's positive, but in this way. But anyway, there is a motion on the table.
There's a motion on the table to remove the sign, and we have a second. All in favor to remove the sign?
Aye.
Can I see a show of hands to remove it?
What'd you say? Say that again?
Could I have a show of hands of votes to remove it?
To remove it?
To remove it.
You don't need a show of hands. We just
Well,
said
I don't know if I heard Tarika.
No, I said aye.
Did you say aye? Okay. All opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Motion carries.
So the sign will be moved within 72 hours. That was the motion.
Well, when we decide who's going to pay for it.
What do you mean, who's gonna pay for it? There's no
The
doubt
city-
who's gonna, I mean, the city's not,
The city's not paying for it.
huh?
The city's not paying
I
for it.
know. Who
So-
put it up?
The Booster Club put it up.
Didn't some of the city employees help?
No,
You sure?
positive.
Okay.
Well, yeah, well,
I just asked a question.
no city employees
I just asked.
touched that fence or that sign. You know that? Okay. Sick. We're going to move to public comment. Do we, yes, sir, Mr. Walker?
Good evening, everyone. I'm coming to you about the Martin Luther King citywide celebration. Ms. Gilbert asked me to stand in and make a couple of announcements for this year. It would be on starting on Saturday, January the 18th through Monday the 20th. We have several different activities which will be the 8th, will be a basketball tournament at the recreation complex. On Sunday, the 19th, we'll have a service at Mount Zion CME Church on East Union Street, and I encourage all the council members to come. On Monday morning, we will have a unity march, and I encourage all the council members and city officials to come. And we will conclude with the Martin Luther King Parade at 10 o'clock in downtown Mendon on the 20th, and hope that all will come. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other public comments?
We're gonna do it now. On this unity march, who's gonna block the streets and all that?
The city.
No, I don't think the city should pay for that. That's an individual person. So, I mean, if we're gonna go there, then if we can't have an individual person for whatever reason, I don't think the city needs to put out money to block the streets for a Martin Luther King event. I'm done. Good for you.
We're going to block the streets for a safety hazard for all the citizens,
But that's costing the city money that they shouldn't have, I mean, if.
I understand. I appreciate your comment. Do we have any other public comments? No other public comments? Wait, okay. Wait, okay. Mr. Gray?
Good afternoon.
It's
So
evening.
y'all are requesting the Booster Club to pay to remove the fence, sign, and gate, and for us to pay for it, and to refund Miss Pam her $41,000.
That's what it sounds like.
I'm asking, I'm asking, yeah, I mean, I need to know what y'all are asking me, because we just adopted
The
that.
motion said for the sign to be removed within 72 hours. It didn't say anything about fencing or anything else. The motion said for the sign, the TC Blossom sign, to be removed within 72 hours.
So my concern is that y'all, the protocol wasn't followed, and that's the reason we're removing the sign. Well, the protocol wasn't followed for the fence as well, so you're accepting the fence but not the sign. I mean, I'm okay removing both, I just need to know what you want me to do.
That's fine, you can remove both of them.
And I'm okay with whatever y'all want me to do, I just need to know, like, because if I leave the fence, I need to know what y'all want me to do.
The fence was put up wrong also, so it needs to be removed also. Why would we vote for it? Well, we voted for what he's got on the agenda. Talk to your mayor.
Well, I didn't read it. Who read it? That's just literally a suggestion. I didn't write it. That was a suggestion. You can word it any way you want to.
Who wrote it?
I read it out, and I
He read it.
Well, I mean, I can't help it if he
You want to
read.
know who wrote it. Wanda wrote it, or
Yeah,
whoever put the agenda together, that's who wrote it.
Yeah, it was a suggestion that I put down there, and it's a suggestion, so you're your own person. You can put whatever you want to
Said
there.
You
I
didn't
mean,
write it, but we didn't write it either.
I appreciate it that you read for word what I wrote, but you're your own person.
I have an alternate if the name has to be removed. We can put a metal plate over the TC Bloxham sign, and that way the sign stays, the fence stays, but y'all, I guess, would have to vote afterwards to accept the approval of the fence. And if we wanted to accept and do the proper procedures for the sign, we could then just remove the metal plate. That way we follow the protocol and save the Booster Club some
At the workshop,
money.
that's what we discussed, that you
Correct.
would come before.
Yeah,
present
absolutely,
the
yeah.
Booster Club, and we would start there following protocol. So I'm kind of confused about the questions when this is what we discussed at the
No,
workshop, that, you know, how this would go.
Yeah. Again, if it's followed the right procedure, right, and I'll cover the sign, and I leave the fence, then do I have to come back and donate the fence with the gate and then seek council approval to add the sign back? Or
Again, the
I-
motion was to remove the TC Blossom sign. That's what the motion was. Within,
But accept the fence,
72
but accept the fence.
So it was to remove it or adorn it and cover it?
No, it was to remove.
Yeah, no, I know y'all want me to take the sign down. My thing is, if it's the memorialization that y'all are,
Sense too. Both of them up there illegally.
no, yeah, I get that.
Okay, so you take both of them down?
By both of them, you mean the fence and the sign?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just being fair about this thing.
Can you
If
raise the
can't-
money
you
up to
can't- you
take it
can't
down in
leave the
72 hours,
you can't
Mr.
leave
Gray?
the-
Yeah,
you can't leave the
that's my biggest thing. Like, you're giving me 72 hours. I've already got a quote on removing it. It's about $6,000 just to take the fence post up. Not only that, it's gonna deface the property that's there. I mean, we're gonna have post holes all around the field. And then Ms. Bloxham's gonna want her $41,000 back. So now I'm $47,000 negative. I don't think Mr. McInnes is gonna pay me $47,000 just to take some signs up. Yeah, and I understand that it was done wrong. I just need to know what to do, because I don't have that. I can't get it done in 72 hours because can't do both. What are the problems of not getting the fence done in 72 hours? What repercussions does now the Men in Rec Booster Club have to face? Because essentially what y'all are doing is y'all are bankrupting the Booster Club and making it to where I can't operate. Because I can't get advertisements and I can't get donations if I can't get my donations approved.
Maybe some of these fine citizens that have been doing all the applauding will give you some of that money.
You're a fine citizen and a business owner. Would you help me?
Remember what I said, I didn't applaud.
I would do it for free. I would take the sign down for free, keep the fence, because they didn't vote on the fence. They voted on the sign. I'll take the sign down for free and keep the fence.
No, they didn't follow protocol on any of it.
It's all or nothing.
According to the attorney.
Yeah.
It all has to come down according to the attorney. That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, Mr.
I'll be
Gray.
seeking sponsorships then for helping removal.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Do we have any more public comments? Okay. Mr. Adams, or state us your name, please.
I'm Ricky Thomas. Unbelievable, guys. I'm trying to build a business here, and I'm wanting to donate to the rec center too, because I want the kids to have a better life. I grew up in Cullen, Louisiana. We didn't have nothing, but we had a nice ball field. I've been to Cullen council meetings. I mean, I've been police chiefs in Oklahoma and in Arkansas. I've been to council meetings, but I've never been to one like this. For the kids, and you want to do right. I'm a Southern Baptist, and we got 2 council members here that I've done some investigation on myself. And when you don't live in the district, we call that being a hypocrite. And I want to know, Mr. Mayor and the attorney, when all this is said and done and they do the investigation and find out that these members technically can't even vote because they're not in their district, are y'all going to have to go back and say, all these meetings, we're going to have to go back and vote on this separately?
That's a legal question for our attorney here.
I want to know. I mean, I'm wanting to start a business, but my God, Cullen looks terrific right now compared to Minden. If you ever been to Cullen and Spring Hill recently, I grew up hating Minden because I was a lumberjack, and man, we used to have battles. But I was envious of Minden because when we came and visited my uncle, And we saw the brick streets and how everybody was getting along and everything. And man, you know, we wanted to be there. We had our international paper company, and we were the lumberjacks. And it was heated. Now I'm living in this area trying to start a business here, and it's very disturbing. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I mean, really, it's unbelievable. I told my wife I wasn't going to come tonight, but I came to check and see about have y'all done anything with the alcohol? You know, that's what I was wanting to know. You know, I liked the way it was, but the citizens voted the other way in, so now I'm having to back up and punt and do something different. But when we're taking money away from a youth organization and taking away from the kids, if we're not living for the kids, then you need to move. The kids are the next people coming up. They're the ones going to be paying your Social Security. You know, if you don't get them involved in something organized and disciplined, as in sports, and they're going to be everywhere but there, give these kids a break. Reconsider what you're doing. You're doing it wrong. Taking a fence down is wrong. People say, well, things have been doing it wrong, but you're doing it wrong too. I mean, whenever you knew, because I've called the general attorney there in the state of Louisiana, and they told me to look up, these acts, and you're right. You've got a charter here. And they're lost, but they told me what to look at. And if you're a city council member, you have to live in your district. Now, I'll give you some background. I was working out in Dallas, and I owned some property in Cullen, several pieces of property there. And my wife owned a place in Minden. And it came time for us to get our taxes, and I was filing homestead exempt. We wasn't married yet. We were still dating. And we had just got married, and we wanted to live in Bossier because she started work at Bentler Steel Tube, and I was in Dallas. Well, the tax assessor told me that because I was living in Bossier, I was renting. And I had a residence in Bossier that they considered us being there full time. So we lost out on our homestead exempt. It cost me $1,100. I was pretty mad. So if that happens to me and he's telling me that I'm having to claim that as a residence, why aren't y'all? What's good for the goose, But anyway, that's what I've got to say. I wish y'all would reconsider and revote this thing, because all you're doing is hurting the kids. You're hurting the kids. I mean, I told y'all before, if someone, I'll give you, and I know I'm running over time, but I'm passionate for the kids. I have built ball fields and got donations from corporations. They wouldn't give me money, but they gave me material. I put in the labor and the effort to build these facilities. I went to Cullen, the ball field that I played on, which we didn't have nothing. The city let it grow up and made it look like a junkyard. I went in, cleaned the place up, tried to get donations. I couldn't even get $50 for a swing. Nobody wanted to give any money. She's giving $40,000, and all she's asking for is to put a sign up. That is unheard of. I don't care. McDonald's won't even give you $40,000. Brookshire's won't give you $40,000. But an individual gives you $40,000, and we're making an issue out of it. All I can say is shame on y'all, and you need to reconsider this because it's hurting everybody in Minden, in Spring Hill that come and play ball, and everybody in Webster Parish is killing you because we're crazy up here. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. You, just a second, Mr. Gray. Ricky, you touched on the alcohol. There is a meeting scheduled for January the 13th. Mr. Minifield will roll out his ordinance at that time for us to look at and review. It's at 4 o'clock in the Pelican Room. I just wanted to let you know that. Mr. Gray, would you come up to the microphone, please?
Yeah, I'm a Paul Graham, a pastor here in town. I have multiple 501c3s, nonprofits. The Joe LeBlanc Food Pantry here in town, which is the largest in the state. And it's my question, I don't have a statement. I just have a question. Is Griffith Park city-owned? When I do sponsor a lot of things, if I want to pay X amount of dollars and have Joe LeBlanc Food Pantry advertised on that field, do I have to come to the city to get approval for
You
it?
have to go to the Booster Club.
It's a city-owned park, though.
It's a city-owned park,
And
but
it's
the Minden
named.
Booster Club, not the Minden Booster Club, but the Minden High School Booster Club has the park and operates the park.
But it's city-owned.
But it's city-owned, you're correct.
So it doesn't apply to that park, but it applies to this park.
I guess.
So I won't have to come through here if I want to sponsor anything.
You will.
I believe it's on a lease with the school
You will
board.
you'll have to deal with the Minden High Booster Club,
But it's a city-owned park.
but it's the city-owned park, you're correct.
I'm just curious. Herbert, were you going to say something? Councilman Taylor, I'm sorry.
I believe that Griffith Stadium was on lease to the school board.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I.
Do we have a lease? I don't know. Michael, do we have a lease with them?
Not to my knowledge.
Not to my knowledge. Oh, yeah, we don't have a lease with them.
They have a right of use.
Yeah, they just have the right to use it, but no, they don't pay us a penny for that park. Got me. We cut the grass there, and we water the grass there, and we clean up there, and we empty the trash there, and we clean up the bathrooms there. But the high school uses it, and they sell sponsorships for, to help their booster club.
Didn't we offer to sell it to them?
No, we have not. We've not offered to sell it to them. There was talk about it, but we've not offered to sell it to them, no.
I'm just making sure that if
Yeah.
I spend X amount of dollars to put a sign up at, actually, for the girls softball team, which is inside of the rec, that they sell advertising for, does it have to have city council?
If it's at the rec complex? Now, if it's at the rec complex, that's a different animal.
Well, they sell signs.
I understand. I understand.
Come through the city council to sponsor the girls softball team.
As of right now, yes. Yes, ma'am. You give us your name, please.
Virginia Bridges.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Bridges.
I had to have support to come up. It took a long time to figure it out. I would not give any money to do anything if I couldn't sign it. Another thing, you're a lawyer. I was trying to sell some lots in Minden. I told the lawyer they were commercial. Thank you.
Commercial.
Commercial. And he said no, just one was. And he kept on and on. I did not sell the property. Then afterwards, he calls me and he said, Ms. Bridges, you was right if they were commercial. So I don't know about your lawyer.
I don't even know this lady. I don't even know what she's talking about.
Her husband was Dr. Bridges, and she's referring to the property behind her husband's clinic, those 3 lots that have been zoned commercial for a long time.
Okay. I don't even know, she didn't talk to me.
Yes, you did.
No.
You called me
For what?
to apologize because I was right.
Okay.
Okay, do we have any more public comments? Any more public
I
comments?
have one comment, Your Honor, if you don't
Well,
mind.
you're not the public,
I know,
but go ahead.
look, what we're talking about here is nothing large.
Pull your microphone up.
City of Minden is a corporation. A corporation is considered a person. It can sue, it can be sued, it can own things. It's just consider the city of Minden as being a human being for all practical purposes. Now, you own property. Would you like for somebody to come down and put a sign on your property without your permission? No, just think of it as being a human being.
You wouldn't have gotten the fence.
I'm sorry?
You wouldn't have gotten the fence without the sign.
I understand that. But I'm not just talking about that one particular issue. Can they cut across a road or a trail across your property without your permission? That's all you got to do. Don't think about the Minden being the city of Minden. I know what used to happen in the past, but it don't happen in the past anymore. If you own something, you own something. If the city owns something, it owns something. Yes, ma'am.
They changed the water meter in my yard and have it stick it 6 inches out of my yard, out of my ground. without
Okay,
permission.
well then you call the utility department about that.
I did.
And then?
It's still sticking out.
Hey, we're not having discussions, we're having comments only. So finish your comment, Mr. Minifield, please.
My thing is, before you criticize an issue, if you really want to know the truth about it, do you know, and you've been hearing this up here now. Now you know what kind of problem I have. All these people up here, not all of them, but the majority of them up here got a law degree. So I have to come in and carve out what the law is. And I have to be right. Because I just heard the Lawson Act, that's a separate entity and apart. Instead of the city council making the rules and regulations in the Lawson Act, they already been made by the legislature. So you got a tailor-made constitution with everything. You ain't got to make laws under the Lawson Act. They're already there. And if the city of Minden doesn't have that law in existence, that's the city council job, is to create the ordinance that's in question. Create the law. That's what a legislature does. It creates the law. It don't go over here and say, well, they did this over here, we'll make this the law. You can adopt a law or somebody else's ordinance, but the city council still have to make it a law for the city of Minden. So I don't know where this come from, that if we don't have a law saying something, then we reach over here to the Lawson Act. Or if the city doesn't have anything, let's say the state of Louisiana doesn't have a particular law. It just go over and we'll use Texas law. You can use Texas law, but it has to be agreed on by the legislature of Louisiana. It's not an automatic thing. That's the purpose of all this. Law is a system of rules and regulations by which a society governs itself, imposing punishment for violators. So the law here may not be the law over there. You already know that. We got laws here in the city of Minden that we have to abide by. And that's all I'm interested in.
Okay, we thank you for your opinion. Mr. Bradford, we're going to let you go first with the closing comments.
Happy New Year.
That it? Mr. Taylor?
I would like to start by saying Happy New Year. I ask everyone to pray for the troops and show them your support.
Mr. Beard?
I'd just like to say, out of the 5 of us that sit up here on this council, after all that we've seen happen over the last 12 months and everything that's gone on, I really can't believe this council would elect Mr. Taylor as mayor pro tem. How embarrassing. That's all I got to say.
Ms. Walker?
I have no comment.
Ms. Bloxham?
Happy New Year to everybody. I do want to say that had I known what was going to come from a donation that was done extemporaneously, I don't know that I would have done this. But you know what? It's there. The kids have enjoyed it. The recreational staff have loved having it. So I'm really glad that I did this, and we'll just see what happens tomorrow. Thank you.
It's my turn. I want to talk a little bit more about the MLK. This is a 3-day event for MLK. The keynote speaker on January the 19th is Dr. Roebuck. She is a band director at Grambling State University with a lot of degrees behind her name. She is from Minden, so if you have the opportunity, be sure and hear her speak. I think it's something to hear. On the MLK parade, the head car will have our very own Miss Minden, Joy Davis. She's going to be riding in the head car. They're still looking for donations to help sponsor. I have some donation forms here for MLK. I also have some entry forms here if you'd like to put a car or something in there. So the person to contact for that is Fayreen Kennan Gilbert. And if you need her phone number, let me know. Also, one of the biggest and proudest events that Minden has is our annual St. Jude auction. This is a 4-day event. It starts on Thursday, January the 30th. The auction begins at 9 o'clock. Minden, the chili cook-off is going to be this year. They're going to have live music. They're going to have tasting cups. On Saturday, February the 1st, they're going to have the Minden Run for St. Jude. On Saturday, they're going to have a St. Jude Kids Day, and there's going to be all types of face painting and bouncy houses, and you can get that. You can be in there for $3. On Sunday, the auction will start at 1 o'clock after church, and it will end around 10 o'clock. The theme for this year is based on Mardi Gras, and it's Throw Me a Cure, Mister. So we would like everybody to come out and support St. Jude. We'd like everybody to come out and support MLK. With that said, I would like to thank everybody that once again participated in all of our Christmas activities. It was very impressive. And for all of you that came tonight, we appreciate your support. We continue to invite you to get engaged in your city council and your city government. Meeting adjourned.